G'day everybody, how you going today? It is so good to see you. Well, we have Firmware 2.0 now officially released for the Z9. So today I'm just going to take you through the live installation and we'll talk through some of the changes. And next time, we'll take it out into the field. I have an XQD card with the bin file on it. Let's plug it in. Turn it on. There it is on, and we will get the Ninja recording as well. So we've got 4 cameras, which is just crazy. We're going to go into the menu and we are going to go to firmware and we want to update. We can see it right there very clearly. And yes, we want to go to from 1.1 to 2.0. Now, let's keep the HDMI in, see what happens, I suppose. They were doing this in the interest of everybody knowing. Well, let's see how long this takes. And in real time, because it could take a little while, as this update cruises along, and as we can see from the above camera, the first minute has rolled through, and we're still waiting to see something happen. And whilst we're doing this in real time, let's talk about some of the features that you can find in this 2.0 update, which, as I've talked about recently, I think probably a lot of these features were originally planned for the original launch, the 1.0. Something like this is just so long in development that at some point, as they get towards what they want to be the launch date, they have to decide which features are in and which features are out. This is my theory as to why this has come so quickly. And I mean, it's such a huge update, and this may well be one of the biggest firmware updates we've ever seen. And it was just about optimization, it was about finalization, it was about testing. There we go, so we've had the first bar appear, so we are starting to get there. Very exciting. So one of the biggest things which I think they've been working on for a very, very long time is the 8K. It ends up being an 8.3K, so you've got a bit of wriggle room to pan around, punch in, punch out, stabilize. And this is 12-bit RAW, NRAW. Now, if you want to have a really in-depth understanding of how good the video attributes are of this camera, well, please do check out Gerald Undone's video. And he's basically saying, well, this is one of the most outstanding updates that he has ever seen. And certainly from the perspective of mirrorless hybrid cameras, the Z9 is now a GOAT level. It's pretty exciting. Jump over to Gerald, I'll put a link below, and you can see what's going on there. Also, from a video perspective, we have 12-bit ProRes RAW, which is also an extremely high quality codec and works natively with Apple Final Cut Pro. Oh, there we go, we've had another jump. That massive 8.3K allows us to get UHD and DCI level video. Now, something that I know that I will use and I will show you as soon as this is done, and it's the red box around the recording. I just think that's super helpful. And now we have a 2-sized waveform that some people absolutely love and rely upon. Something that I'm super pumped about and didn't talk about in my previous video is the fact that you can now get oversampled 4K 60 to make it super duper sharp. And this is definitely something that I will use. This thing's flying along. We're almost done. How good is that? Another thing worth talking about that we haven't talked about before, and this was something that I looked into when the 8K first arrived, is how do you export stills from your 8K? And that's now built in with a feature called Save Consecutive Frames. Well, here we are, it's done. It just did it in the middle of me saying that. And here it is. It's back live. This has started recording automatically again. Good on you, Ninja, for just doing it. Let's actually see if we've got Firmware 2.0. First thing I want to try is hit record. There we go. We do have the red box. It's funny. It's such a simple little thing, isn't it? But it's actually a really, really useful thing. You know that when you're in the field and you're shooting and you can do that button on, button off thing and get yourself a bit confused. We all do it. We all do it. And this is why such a simple thing is such a big thing, because we all do it and we all do it all the time. The video menu, and we go and look at our file types, and here they are. So we have the ProRes RAW. Oh goodness, yes. So they've added all. So these two at the top here, these are new. I think the rest were what we had before. This is the one I shoot in the most, the 10-bit H.265. They're actually really reasonable sized files, and well, you've seen the results that I get. They look great. ProRes, I've played with that, but the files are enormous. These are even like ridiculously enormous. 8.3K, 60, 50, 30, 25, 24, 4.1K in Nikon RAW and 120 frames per second. So there are just a lot of options here, and you can just kind of work out what works for you. And we'll change to look at the formats in ProRes RAW. It may be a codec I never use, I'm not sure. So it starts at 4K, oversampled 4K, so you've got a bit of wriggle room there. 60. Oh, that's interesting. We've got almost 6K in DX. So this must be something to do with how the sensor is read. It's just a lot of options, a lot of things to play with. Super exciting. This is ProRes RAW HQ. It'll be interesting to see Netflix, for example. They rate cameras that are of a relative standard to be able to be used to make Netflix television shows. It'll be interesting to see if the Z9 gets that rating. There are a couple of the more entry-level cine cameras from Sony that have got that certification. Let's see what happens. We'll probably find out over the next 6 to 12 months. I'm sure it's not something that happens quickly, but gosh, ProRes RAW built in. ProRes RAW built in, 8.3K built in, 60p RAW. So another feature that I didn't talk about in the pre-release video was that they have improved auto exposure on faces. So obviously they can find the face by finding the eye, and there's either a box around the eye or so on. As you can see here on me from above, there's a box on my eye right now. So the camera knows where your face is, and now they're obviously focusing the exposure on that part. Let's flick over to, now as crazy as it might seem, I actually haven't used the 30 frames per second JPEG. I've used the 20 RAW, but not the 30. So we're just going to quickly set that up, and then pressing on this, and there we go. There's the 30 and the 120. So we're just going to do the 30 because that's crazy enough for me, but we can see here that we are getting that little green light next to the pre. So there you go. That is the pre-burst. It's as simple as that, and there are so many situations that I can think of where that will work for photojournalists, which covers a wide range of things, from sport to politicians to media events, all sorts of stuff. So much of photojournalism is about waiting for the moment. I've done a lot of that sort of work where you're just waiting for someone, waiting for them to do that special thing. And if you can literally just tap your button for half a second and capture 30 frames of the second before, well, that's crazy. I mean, I'd just be happy to capture 10 or 5, but 30, unbelievable. It means you can fine comb through what just happened and you go back in time. I think this is a ridiculously useful feature for such a high-end camera, 45 megapixels. I know a lot of people will want it in RAW, and I would too. I would love it in RAW. I would be happy if it was in RAW at 10 frames a second or 5 frames a second. It would even be useful because pre-capturing is not just all about animals and sport. There's just people doing things when they're talking or smiling and whatever, and you can see amazing moments and miss them. So it's useful for all types of photographers. And Nikon, if you're listening, it would be useful RAW slower from my perspective. Obviously, it would be useful RAW faster, but if we can't have RAW faster, give us RAW slower anyway. Something for the future. I think this is something that's made much easier when you don't have a shutter. I wonder, let me think about this for a minute, but I'm just, without thinking too hard about it right now, this is way easier to do when you don't have a shutter. So maybe this is something more for future cameras after the Z9 and after the Z9. Here is the custom focus box, and as you can see, it jumped onto my eye the moment I got the box over me. And now that the box is off me, it is not seeing my eye. And that's just fabulous. Like, I love this feature and will use it a ton. The fact that you can customize part of the frame and then get a cat, a dog, a plane, a train, an automobile, whatever you need to get, that's a cracker. And seeing it work here live, this is a super exciting feature, and the fact that it's customizable is so awesome. We will play with this more very, very soon. So these are just some of the high level settings that are in this huge firmware update. And look, this is super exciting for Z9 users. What I hope is there's a lot more to come for Z62, Z72, Z5, Z50 users. Hopefully everybody gets a little bit more of something very, very soon. I'd love to know what feature, if you've got a Z9 that you're excited about in this release, and I'd love to know what feature, even if you don't have a Z9, that you'd like to see. What would be some of the features that you would like to see trickle down to whatever camera that you have? I'd love you to let me know in the comments below. Alright, it's been so fantastic to see you, and I'd love to see you again, so please do subscribe, please share, and please like, and I will see you very soon out in the field. Okay, bye for now.